everyone, and welcome back to Ethics. This is our match review of Sunderland's 1-0 defeat against Brighton at the Stadium of Light. Taff, I asked you 2 minutes ago how you were, so I won't again, but I will ask you, how was your weekend, other than the football?
It was good. I went to an enormous party, got very drunk, lost my phone, which wasn't good. Sorry?
Got friends?
Friends? No, I just have acquaintances. You're my friend.
Okay. Are we? Are we friends?
And you don't drink, so it wasn't with you.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
And you also live miles away.
Sometimes. I'll be there next week.
Okay. Next week?
No, the week after.
Are you coming to the Newcastle game?
No, I'll be there the week after. I haven't got a ticket. If I had a ticket, I'd go. I mean, I am toying with the idea of coming up anyway. But then I've got
the Newcastle. I'm talking about the ladies' game.
Oh, that yes, I'm toying with that. That and Spurs.
Oh, okay. Well, the Spurs is the week after, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Got lots of time off. I'm a teacher. We don't do anything.
That's true. Oh well. Well, that'll be fun because I'm going to go to that game and I'm going to do a video on it. So if we do that together, that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
We can educate ourselves. So I don't think either will really watch the ladies' team. I watch the highlights on YouTube and that's it.
Well, that's a bit more than me. I'd better get. I asked the club if I could do some like my old analysis video of them, and they said that sounds fun. What do you mean? And then a few days later, whoever was on the end of the email obviously asked somebody, and they said, "Oh, I don't think we can do that."
No, fair enough. No, well, I used to cover them when I worked there, so I went to every game for a full season. But the whole team's changed pretty much since then. I think Louise Griffiths is still there. I remember she was there back in the day. But anyway, this is completely digressing from the point, right? Sunderland lose against Brighton. To be honest, mate, I was I often ask for a performance more than a result, and that was what I said before. Obviously, you would take the win, but the performance. I thought Sunderland played well here. Like I know we played well until they scored. That's probably what I would say. I thought after they scored, we did a really bad job of getting back into the game. But I thought up to the point where they scored, I thought we were the better team. I thought we played quite well. I thought we were unlucky. There was a hairline offside. It was offside, but it was just offside. Just didn't get with the goal. I think if that goal goes in and counts, I think Sunderland probably go on to win the game. I don't think we didn't really give Brighton all that much in the game. They had a couple of chances early on from open play, but other than that, we didn't give them that much. So I thought we were more creative than normal, and I thought the reaction after the game was a bit nuts because I just don't think we were anywhere near as bad as people saying it was embarrassing in one of our worst performances. I don't think Sunderland were that bad. Anyway, that was me. Do you share my analysis? I can see you put some graphs in there, so maybe you can tell us.
I've got lots and lots of graphs. I put them up there because they are pertinent to what you were just saying now. After the goal, when did they score? Right there. There's Yakubu Minter. Yeah. I think we're fractionally better after the goal. So I agree with you. It did feel like first half and the beginning of the second half, it did feel like we were largely in control. Although they did have they had a lot of chances across the face of goal. You know, if Hinchelwood has, longer toes, then we're 1 or 2 down. So I remember watching the game and just thinking after like 35 minutes, there's absolutely no way this game stays goalless. I'm surprised there was only one in there and one fluke goal. Because that first half, there were chances for both sides all over the place.
We ended the half really well. I mean, I don't know if the graph says that, but it felt like we were really pushing towards the end of the first half.
This is your favourite. This is XG. It is not often that Sunderland out XG another team in a single game. But we were definitely more creative than usual. It's not often we get above 1 for XG, but here we are out XGing another team in a game, and it did feel like that. However, I think we probably did a bit better than you imagine. Second half, we had most of the possession, but we struggled to do anything with it, and I think that is summed up by the last 15 minutes of the game, including the 8 minutes of extra time there, where we're behind. And they fanny on, and I'll be honest with you, the last couple of weeks I'm sick to death of this passing backwards all the time. We get the ball, we win it in midfield, it goes out to the flank, and instead of trying to break or go forward, it goes back. I'm like, what? And I just don't know when we adopted this habit. I can't quite pinpoint when we adopted it, but It's not how we used to play.
Do you know
And with
what's
the
weird? Is I watched, what game was I watching? I was watching a game on Sunday. It might be the Liverpool game, and Liverpool were chasing. Oh no, it was before Tottenham scored. Sorry, it was when Tottenham were chasing the game. It was Tottenham scored in like the 90th minute, and Tottenham were doing the same thing. Like they're desperate for a goal, and they're just slowly plodding it about the back four. Like, and then they pass it in midfield, and then he passes it back and stuff. And I'm like, what? Why? Well, why isn't this more? And Sunderland are the same. And Sunderland, to be fair,
yeah,
I think this has been an issue with Sunderland, which has been going on for. I think it's an issue with football generally. Is that when teams are chasing games, they go to slow the game down, which to me is the opposite of what you need to do. Like for me, you want to turn. We should have tried to turn the last 15 minutes of that game into a
yeah,
basketball match. We should have made it so we're like, do you know what? We're going to, because we know what Brighton are like, we're going to give you the chance to counter-attack us, to take risks, so that we can counter-attack you and turn it into that end-to-end, and then you might score. You might concede another goal, but you might score. And, yeah, I was frustrated that it just felt like we didn't. And that's why I said that the game to me felt like, after they scored, I felt like we didn't react to that very well, which is strange, because actually a lot this season we have reacted quite well to conceding.
yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And I think the crowd felt that frustration, and I think that's possibly. I think often the way you finish a game is a bit more important than the whole thing in terms of what the crowd take away, in terms of their attitude. But there is something just worth sort of pointing out here, if I can. Let me get a big painty crayon or something on it, not a fill.
Oh,
Yeah, let's see. I don't even know what color I'm going to have. Maybe.
teal.
No, you're in teal. It won't work on a black background. Oh, yeah, I have gone full Crayola here.
Nice.
There we go. I'm going to save it. I'm going to put it up. It's really crude. You're
I
not
like
going to
it.
like it.
The
You're not gonna
cruder, the
like it.
better. Am I not going
You're
to like
not.
it? Why?
I don't think so. Let's call this one Possession 2, and I'll show it to you now. So I just wanted to point out, because it wasn't as easy to see there, but actually, if you look at the Sunderland red line there, they score like, what, 58 minutes or something?
Yeah.
So just before my second yellow line there, they score before there. But everything from after we start to settle into the game, they have a flurry of chances early on.
Yeah.
And after that, the entire possession is gradually, basically us gradually taking control of the game, ending that first half, the last 25 minutes, and all the way through until they score, is basically Sunderland gradually leveraging control of the game. And
Yeah.
and I
That
think
felt like that.
that is worth pointing. Yeah, but that's worth pointing out, because that is an enormous shift in momentum from having 30% to having 60%. That's quite a sustained and constant shift. And so I just think they score, and then it ends very flatly, and we don't show enough desperation to win the game, and everybody goes home kind of annoyed and frustrated, because they felt that momentum and they saw that shift, and we were doing quite well. And then it comes to naught, and then we look devoid of ideas, and then they kind of settle into it and take it, and it's a bit too easy for them to do that. So I think that's why there was an outcry, because the shape of the game, and like I say, often the way you finish is much more important to the impression you leave with, which is why I like doing these reviews with you a couple of days afterwards, because it gives you a chance to reflect and try and put things into perspective, and often feel very different about things. So I just thought that was important to mention that difference there. I do have a couple of things that I think is worthwhile in terms of our creativity.
Let's do
So
it.
if you have a look at this is the number of shots we have inside the box. Now, if you think about a regular Sunderland performance, I don't think that we usually have, what have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shots from inside the box. That's pretty high from us. I think that demonstrates that we are attempting to be more creative. 12 shots on goal. You can see the on target ones there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and some blocked ones. But 9 shots inside the box. That's pretty good for us. It's not for a normal team, but for us it is. So I think the intent is there for us to be much more of an attacking side. So I think they do deserve some credit for that. Where do you think the focus of attack came? Left, right, middle?
Well, I thought Chris Rigg had a very good game, and he was on the
Yeah,
right.
he
So the
did
fact
have
that I
it.
thought he had a very good game probably suggests that it was coming down his side. I can't. I remember Talby getting the ball a lot and frustrated. Sometimes doing good things, sometimes doing bad things. I feel like we didn't play through the middle. So if you're going to tell us we played through the middle, then I'm going to laugh at
No,
myself. But
you
I'm
have,
going to say it.
you have earned credibility there. You're going to say
Right, the right.
correct, sir. Correct, sir. Um,
Oh,
so
hang
if you have a
on.
look at this, then you can see that most of these are Sunderland crosses. Most of our
Yeah.
crosses come from down the right. And if you think about who's playing on the right,
What?
you've
What
got
are the blue dots? Sorry, just
yes, yes,
there's red dots. There's blue dots. What are the blue ones?
that's right. Yes. So I can't remember. I think they might be crosses that are met, whereas the other
Oh,
ones are crosses
completed.
that might
Okay.
the crosses that are missed. I should have just carried on. Um, so you've got Hertrauder and Rig coming down the right, haven't you?
Yeah.
And who have we got on the left? We've got Trey Hume
Hume,
and Talby.
Talby,
And I mean,
and
if you
Siddiqui.
think about Siddiqui, what I loved about Siddiqui is that because Jacques was back in the team, he was freed up to be all over the place, and he
Yeah.
was much better again rather than having to sit in Xhaka's position. But I just thought that this was the game you saw, but also it just shows you it's not Trey Hume's forte, overlapping, underlapping, and his dead balls and crosses have been quite poor for
What?
several games now.
Why is he on corners? Like, I look
I mean,
at this team, and I think when Trey Hume crosses the ball in open play, I don't think, oh, this has got a chance. I always go, why is Trey Hume crossing the ball? Trey Hume should be looking to pass to somebody else. Like, my corners and set pieces, to be honest. I mean, it's another conversation for a different day.
It is.
But Trey Hume taking them is just weird because also he's quite good in the box as well. So
Yeah, but I think this illustrates that Talby and Hume are not a dynamic combination. Hume doesn't really know how to overlap or come inside the half spaces. You'd think that Sirkin or Reinildo would be much better. They are, in fact, much better than that.
yeah,
But I also thought that down the right, we didn't have our strongest pairing on the right, but I thought Hertrauder played well.
yeah,
And I thought Rig played well.
yeah.
But there
I
are
thought Rick
times.
played excellently.
Well, I'm not sure.
Excellently, it was
I won't go
excellent.
that far. I won't go that far. He played very well, but there are times
Excellent.
when he should take up a more advanced position. He's naturally a midfielder, and growing up has been a sitting midfielder often as well.
He's just
So
a bairn.
I know that.
He's
But
18-year-old and put out. He was our best player on the pitch.
there are times when Hertrauder and Xhaka are saying, "Get up there," because you're no use to
Yeah.
passing the ball here.
But
This is a wasted pass. Get up there. But I feel like that's a problem with our team a lot. There are a lot of
Yeah.
wasted short passes that aren't advanced enough, that don't break the lines, and offer someone to pass to. So it's not just him, but I did see it a number of times where Hertrauder's just a bit irritating. You're almost level with me, man. Get up the field. But I think that the right clearly worked better than the left. And I just think Talby is a bit weak defensively. He can be brilliant. He can lose the ball. But when you've got Trey Hume behind him, that's not a dynamic side of the field. And I think this kind of shows it.
Do you think though that because goes back to our age-old argument about my good friend Simon Adingra, right? Simon Adingra was just better on the ball than Talby.
Yes, he was.
But Talby's not very good defensively. Well, actually, I say that he made one incredible bit of defensive work. And I think it was in the second half where he tracked I think maybe Hinchelwood. He tracked somebody back anyway and did an amazing tackle. But other than that, generally not great defensively. Adingra also not great defensively. But I just
I
think when
think,
I watched Adingra, I was a bit more like, oh, he could do something here.
yeah, he could, but Adingra was flat out useless defensively. Talby is occasionally useful. So,
Okay.
but Adingra, honestly, Adingra just doesn't want any physical contact. He really does believe that it's a non-contact sport. That's the problem. And I'm sorry, I know you like Simon there,
It's
but
okay.
I just think that's why we don't
It's
have
not
to agree
personal.
with it, but that's why.
Right.
And then if you have a look, I've got plenty of other things
Okay.
to show you.
I had
Plenty of
another.
other things. Talby, there you see Talby. He
That'll be
was
that shot though.
that shot that was cleared off the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it beat the keeper, it was cleared off the line. But once again, he was very nearly the one person who's prepared to take a shot and score. And whatever you say about him, whatever weakness, he is that person. He's the one who's prepared to take a shot. And the amount of times where Xhaka was bearing down on the edge of the
Oh,
box, and you just think,
what was
for
that
the love
about?
of, I don't know, for the love of all that is holy in this world, take a shot, man.
Yeah, there was one where he ran about 50 yards with the ball. Nobody was closing down. He said,
Yeah,
go on. And then he played a pass to Talby, which was a little
which
bit
was,
too hard.
yeah,
And Talby's touch, which I sound like
yeah,
a real Chems and Talby hater here. I'm not. Right? I don't mind Chems and Talby.
yeah.
But his touch was really bad. And I was like, why didn't you shoot? One of your best qualities was
Yeah.
shooting. You just don't want to shoot the ball.
And then
Shoot!
the fourth greatest shot of any player on the pitch was Alderetti's 45-yard attempt.
It was a good
Remember that?
attempt, though. It was
Well,
a...
yeah, but we're all happy for him to waste that attempt because we just, for the love of Christ, anybody please have a shot at goal. I don't why
Yeah.
I do not know why we're so shot shy because
If
there
you
are
watch...
plenty of chances.
I watched Arsenal play Everton, right, and they really struggled. But what they did do was just when they got a chance to shoot from range, they just had a go. And I feel like I don't know if we're so reluctant to concede possession by letting things go out for a goal kick or something, but just have a
Yeah.
go.
Well,
It's so
there were
frustrating.
numbers. There were numbers up in advance today, and numbers in the box today. So there's a
Today,
good chance. So the game. Sorry, they don't know when we record this.
the head's
It
gone.
wasn't today. So I just feel as though yeah, they just I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's deeply frustrating for all of us watching it that people just seem deeply shot shy. And all the way down number 9 there is Brobby's blaze over the bar from the edge of the box. And if you think you're going to be an international striker, which he has aspirations to be, and he's still young, I mean, he's got to hit the target. I don't necessarily expect the score, but he has to make the keeper do something there if he's your number 9. And I thought it was a very poor strike from him. He wasn't under any particular pressure either. And
Yeah.
it just seemed to me as though he has lashed that with as much power as possible because it flew at some pace. But what's the point if it doesn't hit the target?
That is true.
So,
Um,
I mean, yeah, there are stories within that, all of which we observed at the game, I think.
Can
Yeah.
we, to move the conversation on a little bit, how much of a problem is the injuries we've got? Because I looked at the team we had at the weekend, and I would say that's the weakest Sunderland team this season, I think.
Well, you would have said
Maybe the
before
Leeds game
kickoff,
was weaker.
the Leeds at home was weaker, but you would have
Or
said,
Leeds away as well.
yeah, you definitely would have said when you saw Hertrauder, because he's not played well of late, but I thought he did play well
Yeah, he did. He did
at
it
the
all right. Yeah.
weekend. You would have said him and Rig on the right, that's a bit weak. We've discussed before, although I don't think people realise it enough, that having Hume as left back is deeply poor for us in terms of
Also,
creativity.
nothing.
But I
It
don't think
slapped
people
with
talk about that enough.
the goal that we conceded came from the fact that Trey Hume doesn't have a left foot because he passed the ball back to the keeper badly, and they scored from the corner.
Well, I mean, Yeah, but I mean, once the corner's there, he's not really to blame, is he?
No, I mean like the issue that the corner came from the fact that
Yes.
we had a right back playing left back, and the left he couldn't play the ball with the left foot, and he set it out for a corner. That's what I meant. I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's at fault for the goal. I mean, we
No.
haven't even talked about the fact of the goal
No.
because
Well, we'll talk about that shortly.
we'll
We'll talk
talk
about
about
that
that.
shortly.
But yeah, the injuries though, because I think we are. I think Xhaka's not clearly. He's nowhere near the 100% fit. Like he's nursing himself through the games. I think Diarra is struggling. I know we've got quite a lot of players who are doing Ramadan right now, and I think potentially Xhaka is. I've seen people say that he is. So maybe that's like some of the reason why maybe we're lacking a bit of energy in there, just because.
Well, the good news is that Thursday it's all over and they all break fast. So for the weekend we should have some fully fit, recovered guys who might be a bit lethargic and a bit, having eaten their fill for 3 days by then. So hopefully for the visitors it's all over by then. I think Thursday is the last day they do that.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So yeah, check out Arnold.
But how much is it though? Like an issue, because I think like I've seen people like you can't make excuses, and I was like, it's not an excuse, but I think it's a reason. If we had Nordy and I think Ronaldo being missing and not playing left back is like a massive issue for us because we don't have an actual left back, and I think I can point at recruitment. I mean, this is another debate with Lebris, right? But if I looked at Regis Lebris's team and what he's actually got, the resources that he's got on that team, I think we have a really good defence in midfield, and we're seeing that reflected by the fact we've only conceded like 35 goals or something stupid this season. And a lot of them goals came in like just a few games. Defensively very solid, and the team was recruited to be that. But his tools on the wings are not good enough. And I don't think that any other manager would be able to suddenly turn our wingers into top level high producers. So
you are right.
What tools has he been given to get this team, and especially the team we had at the weekend where he's only got one winger, which is Talby. He's putting Chris Rigg, who did play well, but he's putting Chris Rigg on the right. Yeah. He's lost Enzo Lefebvre, who's his most creative player as well, which we haven't even mentioned, but he loses Lefebvre in there as well. I don't think that there's anything he could have done. Like Sunderland, I don't think could have played much better than what they did at the weekend with what they had at their disposal.
No. But I do think it's fair to say that you're not getting the best out of Brian Brobby because of the way that we play, quite defensively with one man up front. I do think if you do have people, creative wingers there, your man, Simon Adingra, that we don't get the best out of him because of the way we play so defensively set and conceding possession. Now, we all knew we were going to do that. We were doing that last year and it kind of works. But we don't really play on the break anymore. Wilson Isidore used to stay up on the halfway line last season for corners. We used to ping it out to our wingers, and we just don't do that anymore. We slow.
But we used to have around.
We play it back behind us.
But Roberts was such like an outlet because he could dribble past anyone. So you knew that on the break.
He was underrated for his defensive work as well, Roberts. Actually, I thought.
Yeah. So like now, I look at the team. And like I don't think we've got the attacking tools there, because we need players, right? Fundamentally, when we've got promoted to the Premier League, we need to stay up by being defensively resolute, right? That's the only way we could stay up this season. We could not have stayed up if we had went out and bought attacking players and turned every game into a basketball game and went on the losing side of 3-2s and 3-1s and stuff, right? We're never going to stay up that way. So the only way we could stay up is being defensively solid, which means that in the summer we need to buy players that are both defensively solid and good in attacking sense when it comes to the wings. And I don't think he's had that. I think Angulo might be that, but to be honest, I've not seen great defensive work from him so far. I'm not necessarily seeing masses of this is a real good defense. Maybe it'll come. Obviously his data suggests that it will, but he doesn't have the players to fit into his system. And I think that like when we talk about the debate of this, of he's not getting the best out of XYZ player, well, the system's working because we've finished above our wage total. We're like 6 places ahead of where we are in terms of wage spend. We are bottom of the league on transfer spend overall. Like our squad in terms of what it cost is less than Burnley's. So all the metrics of how you should actually grade,
we're doing much better than expected points. We're 19th
better
there
than expected points
by a long chalk. Yeah.
but that's a
That's
load
a
of
daft
nonsense
table
anyway.
because Leeds are sixth.
Yeah. And they definitely aren't the sixth best team. But I just think I look at that and I just think, well, I don't know what the manager could really have done with the cards he's been dealt this season other than what he has right now. And I think that's why I'm getting quite frustrated when I am seeing a lot of negativity around the manager himself and a lot of negativity around the team right now because we went on a little bit of a bad... Bear in mind, we
Yeah.
did actually win our last away game before this. We are actually still trending. I saw this year in 2026 we are on 1.2 points per game, which would keep you up at the end of the season. So we've still, even though we've not played well, we are still trending to be a team that would stay up if the season started on January 1st. So I'm finding it very, I don't know, it's almost like it's short-sighted to just look at this in isolation and just be like, oh, everything's just a disaster. And I'm not saying you're saying that, but I am seeing people saying that. And I'm like, well, I don't know what the manager really could do that different with the cards that he's been dealt with this season. I feel like he's got the most he possibly could out of this team. We obviously look at individual games, but we don't look at the games where he's won us points with his decisions. You look at the ones where he's maybe cost you points, where maybe you don't like his substitutions and whatnot. You don't look at how he's won games this season for us. I just find
All
it
right.
frustrating.
Well, let's talk about some of those decisions then. What did you think when the team sheet came out? Because I thought, yes, I'm all right with that. Given that Enzo Lefebvre was injured, I thought, and the players that were available, I thought, do you know what? That's okay.
It's the only team we
Because
could have picked.
yeah,
Really.
well, I know, but also we thought that the only way to counter Brighton was to try and win the battle in the midfield because they will press quickly from there and trigger lots of attacks, and they did. They played lots of long balls from there out to the flanks. So I thought that was I was quite pleased when we saw it. I thought, yes, that's the right game plan to try and get a win here. The only thing maybe you could talk about is, I mean, is there anybody else you can play instead of Talby, who's a bit tougher on the flank, to try and battle for a ball in the midfield? Because he's not going to help you do that. If Enzo was fit, I feel sure that would have been him in there instead of Talby. And I think we would have had a much better chance of winning that game as a result. Is there anybody else you can put out there? No?
Well,
What
I mean,
about... Go on.
I was going to say, well, Isidore you could, but he obviously apparently was not. Now, this was weird, actually, because he was like, Isidore was ill or not fit or whatever, but he was warming up all game. So,
But he's also not a ball winner in midfield, so
no. I mean,
that
obviously you don't know.
doesn't suit
Yeah.
the game plan.
He's the only other player you've got, though, who could play on the left wing, I think.
Yeah. Now, what about the possibility of starting Dennis Sirkin instead of Trey Hume at left back?
But again, though, is that... I mean, yeah, right. If we're talking about Dennis Sirkin and he's got the all clear to play start the game, then yeah, that's what I would do. I think fully fit, I think Dennis Sirkin is a better left back than Trey Hume. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
So why doesn't he? Why doesn't he play then?
Well, the only thing I can think is that you could only play Trey Hume for... Dennis Sirkin for a certain amount of time. Is the only thing I can think.
Because he's just come back from injury.
Yeah, and I think they do manage loads. I don't know if it comes from sports science or whatnot, but like Brobby came off pretty much on 70 minutes.
Yeah.
So that probably is like a sports science or physio substitution in it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Is there nothing else we can play there? I mean, is Mayenda a better prospect than Talby? Can you shuffle the midfield to get Mayenda into a midfield place instead of Talby? That might help. Maybe not.
But then, like, if you did
Mayenda
that,
on the right, Mayenda on the right, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Is there anything you can do differently with that lineup? I thought the lineup was all right. The only question mark was left back. Okay, so then it's a question of how well did we do? We think we did all right. We think we were weaker down the left. We actually had good possession and good attack, and we get into the box quite enough. But we didn't really achieve our goal that made us win the game, which is to dominate that midfield. Have a look at this. And this is interesting because you would expect Xhaka to be dominating that midfield, but in actual fact, Milner dominates the midfield. And I don't know if you
I've,
noticed this when you play.
yeah, but interestingly, me and my mate Adam, who I go to the games with, we
Yeah.
both said that we felt that Milner and was it who was the other centre mid, Hinchelwood, I think was maybe playing in there. We felt like their midfield was actually doing really, really well. Certainly for the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought their midfield was
It's not
doing really
Pascal
well.
Gross, not Pascal Gross in there.
It might have been
Yeah.
gross, yeah.
Yeah. But if you look at their midfield there and the number of passes they are making and the number they receive, they are controlling a game to a far greater extent in that midfield than we are. I mean,
Yeah.
look at our midfielders: Xhaka, Rig, Siddiqui. Rig and Siddiqui are halfway down that list.
I mean, Diarra had an absolute honker. He was absolutely dreadful in this game.
Well, he plays the more advanced out of all of our midfielders, so he's going to receive.
Awful.
He's going to receive more ball than he passes. So his statistics should look like that. But yeah, I mean, he is
so bad.
But I mean, his statistics are the same as Hinchelwood.
I felt like his touch was not good. And...
I get it. I just wonder that the control slightly behind him and on the flank, and certainly on the left flank, means that you notice it a bit more, because he's no worse. In fact, the statistics are almost the same as Hinchelwood, although we do end up with more possession.
What I would say is a bit of a contrary argument to this, is that we didn't particularly favour playing out from the defence all that much because Brighton are such a high press. So
they do, but wasn't Alderete absolutely fantastic?
Yeah.
And there he is, second up the list there. Look at those progressive passes he plays with his left foot. I thought he was brilliant at the weekend.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Yeah. And I think there was only one occasion this week where he lost possession in a horrible situation that make you swallow your own tongue.
I feel like the last couple of games he's cleared that up quite a bit. So no, I don't know. I feel like Alderete is probably the one shining light that's been going on the last few weeks.
Maybe, yeah. So look, we don't dominate the midfield as much as we do, as much as we needed to. I think when you look at those sort of statistics, you can see that Milner runs the game. So do a bunch of their other players, Gross, Wiffer. So you start to wonder. Actually, it's a pretty tight game. These are the positions that we are making most of our recoveries in, and you can see that again, it's a midfield battle, and it's not one that we especially won. If you look at our left side of the midfield, is winning the ball much lower down the field, Hume, Siddiqui, Talby, than our right side of midfield, Diarra, Hertrauda, Rig. So I think that just confirms that we were weaker on the left side than the right. And if you look at where Brighton are winning the ball back, this is inverted. So they win the ball back mostly down. What's that? That's down their left wing, is it?
Talby.
Yeah. So
no, I don't. They're winning it on their.
They are winning it. They're winning it on their right midfield, which is our left wing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that is off Talby, and that's what puts us on the back foot into the midfield. So then the two squares above that, the 4 and the 8%, are where we're having to compete for more recoveries. So I mean, I think that's where we're losing that battle in midfield, just on that left-hand side. And I think you look at the bench, and we've discussed, there's only really Sirkin at fullback there, but maybe he wasn't fit, and then there's nobody else. So you do have to wonder, actually, there's not a lot we can do about it, is there?
No.
There's not a lot we can do about it.
Maybe you could have said, but I thought he was really poor last weekend at left back. So
yeah. So maybe there's nothing we can do about this, and we just didn't quite have a depth or squad or players available to compete in the way that we need to. But we gave it a pretty good shot, and we did pretty well. And I think we could consider ourselves unlucky to lose that game. But just to show you how well I think they are trying to compete, these are the places we lose the ball. They're all quite high up in our own half. And of course, Xhaka didn't have the best of game in that regard, but he plays so much ball that he's always going to be probably the person who loses most of it. All the play goes through him.
Dealt a couple of hospital passes in this game.
Yeah, and if you look at where Brighton lose the ball, much considerably less control. So we're actually doing all right there. But notice Milner never loses the ball. So
No.
I do think he was really he ran the show for them. He made it very difficult for us, and their packed midfield. Look, we tried to compete, but just didn't have enough available to do so. And I don't think we can feel too aggrieved about that. I thought we tried really hard. We worked really hard, gave it a good shot, and it was just that goal, which we really must talk about now.
Yeah. So, for me, I look at Diarra and I just wonder, it's not a head injury. When you see the replay back, there is a potential that he's maybe had a slight graze on the head by somebody running past, but at that point he's actually already down. So he's feigning a head injury. I think. I don't actually know if he's holding
People
his
do
head.
this all the time, though. People do this all the time.
And to be honest, in a way, I'm quite happy that the referee sort of saw through it. I think clearly the referee saw the altercation happen and thought, he's not hurt his head there because I've seen it. And has went, no, we're playing on for that. Because Diarra then continues. He doesn't have an actual head injury and he continues on. It's not an issue. So I was at the time a little bit annoyed because normally you expect the referee's whistle to go, but fundamentally it is just cheating.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do think that he's irrelevant to the goal, though, isn't he?
Well, is he? Because I think our defence is very conscious about the fact he's playing everyone on side, which I think changes a lot of the positioning.
Maybe, but
well, I know from watching it live that, like at the ground when I was there, that Trey Hume I think is the guy who's closest to Diarra when it happens, and our defensive line pushes up, like to deal as though Diarra's not down, and I think because of that, had our defensive line realised Diarra was down, I don't think we would have ended up with the situation where Xhaka ends up getting... So I think it's Xhaka gets done on the wing, because we would have sat deeper back, and they were able, to, I think, to utilise the fact Diarra was down, and our defence had pushed up when it shouldn't have. And I think our defence pushed up because they didn't realise Diarra was down. I think it caused chaos for us defensively.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean... I do think that there is an issue in terms of, let me see if I can find it, because I do have, it's been put up lots of places, a still of the goal. Obviously, Xhaka gets beaten and falls over and keeps everybody on side, but you can't do anything about that. But you do have to, and some people say, well, who's in front of Elborg? Is he offside? My question there is, why has Elborg got no marker on him? I mean, who is marking Elborg? But it just strikes me as, once again, just a bit weird about how on a set piece we're just not very organised. In fact, I threw this up on our chat, the image of the goal, didn't I?
I think you threw up the image of our goal that got disallowed.
No. The Elborg goal, the Minter goal, sorry. I think I did. But
well, I think a lot of people were saying it might be offside, but I didn't think it was. It didn't look offside.
It isn't offside. Xhaka keeps them onside. Keeps for sure. Xhaka and the goalkeeper. But I mean, who's marking the guy who's stood in front of Elborg? No one's marking him, which is a sin in itself, because that person then could close down Minter when he does Xhaka. But also, I think Elborg is at fault for the goal. He's a good foot and a half away from his near post. And I mean, I just don't think you can be doing that, really. I mean, he looks surprised when it goes in. He shouldn't be, because you should be stood next to your post,
Yeah, but I don't know because I don't watch it enough. But do keepers sit that closely to their post when they're expecting a ball to go across goal?
The only time a goal is ever cleared off the line is when it beats the goalkeeper and somebody is behind you. So you cover your near post. I think any time a goalkeeper is beaten on his near post, I get that.
I get that. But I feel like it was such a weird goal. He's then having his view obscured by the Brighton player, which normally would be offside, but isn't because of Xhaka falling over. But normally,
I mean, it is all very unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't think I can put. I think he should maybe react better to it, and maybe his position is slightly off. But it was such a weird goal. I just don't think he's
Fine.
necessarily massively at fault. And I think for me, I would still side with had the chaos of Diarra going down with a head injury he didn't have. Is that not what's caused the chaos of the defending of the actual goal? Because the knock-on effect of that is the knock-on will affect the game. Do you know what I mean? The knock-on will affect the rest of the set piece because Diarra, maybe he's the guy who should be marking your front post.
Well, but he's at the back. Diarra's
No, but you know what I mean? Yeah, so then he's at the back, so then the next place, do you know what I mean? Then the whole thing moves because he should be there defending the set piece.
But he wouldn't be running to the front, would he?
No, he might not be, but the guy he's meant to be marking, whoever it is then therefore needing to be marked by somebody else. What's the knock-on effect
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
of the whole thing? Would it normally be Granit Xhaka trying to close down the guy Minte, or not? Or is Granit Xhaka having to do that because we've lost? Do you know what I mean? Our structure because we've went to essentially 10 men.
I mean,
on the
I don't know. I think you're stretching some of these things with Diarra, and we don't concede it if we have a left-footed left back. But I wonder if anybody could throw their opinion in the chat. Do these things matter? Is it just unfortunate, or should Elbow be closer to his post? We disagree. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Elbow should be closer, but I just think it's an unfortunate goal. I think there's a lot of factors.
How do you feel about this game upon reflection then?
I don't feel. I think I'm probably in the camp that does not feel as. I wasn't going home on Saturday evening, and not watching the rest of the football that night. Which normally when we have a bad loss, I give up on football that weekend, but I didn't do that. I came away from it thinking that we played pretty well. I saw some Brighton comments saying that they thought Sunderland probably deserved to win the game overall and were done by a bit of an unlucky goal. And I just think right now, the way the cookie's crumbling for us, it isn't going for us right now. And I think if I look back, I mean, if you think about the game we won against Brentford earlier this season, or you think about the game we won in Nottingham Forest away, or you even think about the game we just won at Leeds away, like, they're all just settled on tiny margins. That Leeds game was a carbon copy. Leeds scored a goal that was offside. He was offside, but he was offside. Then we went to the other end and scored. The exact same thing happened in this game at roughly the same timings. We scored a goal that was marginally offside. The crowd is then up, then it's down, deflated, and then Brighton scored a pretty fluky goal, much like our goal was fluky. And I think that just happens in the Premier League. I don't think I saw anything here to say that this team is throwing the... I mean, I heard Michael Gray on Talk Sport after the game saying that it looks like Sunderland have kind of just given up on the rest of the season. And I was like, did you watch the same game? This Sunderland team, they didn't throw the towel. And I have seen Sunderland teams over the years give up on the final stage. I saw it last season when they were getting ready for the playoffs. This Sunderland team hasn't given up. They've not just decided that, oh, well, we've got 40 points, what difference does it make? I didn't see that from the performance. I thought Sunderland were just a little bit unfortunate that they got done with a dodgy goal and they themselves didn't get maybe a few rubs of the green. I thought it was just a draw where one team unfortunately scored a very lucky goal.
Yeah. So I've got one more question to ask you, which is about our substitutions. Now, Regis has come in for a bit of stick lately with substitutions. Some people call them odd, some people call them slow and late. But Wilson Isidore not coming on. He's the only real player who... I mean, you're chasing a goal. Why don't you put him on?
Well...
Even when you take Talby off, or when you bring Sirkin on, you keep Hume on in midfield. I mean, this is not going to help you chase that goal. Isidore sits on the bench. Hume goes to midfield. I mean, is this not a bit annoying?
Yes, I would say normally. I actually think Isidore's been probably our worst performer over the last month or so. I don't think
you are losing. You're losing the game.
Yeah. That's fine. I would have brought Isidore on, but then after the game, he said that he was carrying an injury. But again, I didn't buy that because I was watching Wilson Isidore warm up.
Yeah.
So if he say, let's say that Isidore was on the bench and then he did some warm up and he's like, oh, do you know what? I've tweaked something. I feel like I'm not 100%. Right, that's what's happened. then why would you send him warming up the rest of the half? It doesn't make any sense to me. If he said that Isidore was injured and I never saw him warming up, and it's because he picked something up in warm-up before the game or when he was warming up, then fair enough. But it was a bit for me like, well, if you're saying he's injured, why was he warming up? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I also think when we went 1-0 down, I get that Brobby can only play 70 minutes, but why not get Mayenda on with him for maybe 10 minutes when we concede the goal? Why not try and get Mayenda on with him just to see if that sparks something and get maybe 2 up front, or you put Mayenda on the right or something?
Unfortunately, I just think this goes back to Regis's character this season. I don't think this is his character necessarily, but just this season, the idea of being cautious first. You've still got 30 minutes to play. If you go 2 up front, even for 10 minutes, the game might be over 10 minutes later. Whereas if you make a gentler, more cautious substitution, be a little bit more attacking, then 10 minutes later, you've either scored or you're still in the chance to score and level it. I mean, it's all a bit, I think where we are, we're not getting relegated. And I just think we should have a bit of license to go for it. So I'm with you. I mean, you have to think, why are we playing Hume in midfield in a game that we're chasing? Why don't we have 10 minutes and 2 people up front after you've gone 1 behind? But there is nothing to lose here, and you can only win at this. Even if we got battered 3-0 in that last half hour, I mean, what do you actually lose? But confidence before visiting the visitors is about it. But in the grand scheme of the end of the season, we don't really lose anything, unless you want to bean count your places. But
which you do, because you make £3.5 million per place.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that sums it up. We've got nothing else to talk about, have we, about Brighton?
No, I think we've been through that quite thoroughly. There was surprisingly quite a lot to talk about.
Yes, there was. So let us know what you think in the comments anyway. We'll have our preview for the Newcastle game coming out at some point, maybe Thursday. I think we're recording that tomorrow, aren't we? So
yeah.
Tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday, so yeah, working out in your head. Roughly it'll be on Tuesday, Wednesday.
You'll know because we'll be wearing different shirts.
We will. Potentially. Maybe I'll wear the same one. Just to really screw everyone over. Is that screwing everyone over? I don't know.
No, they don't care.
We've been recording for too long. I'm mumbling. Right, anyway, we'll see you soon.